Everyone is requested to please maintain the requisite silence. For the audience just coming in, kindly settle at the back. If you could just stand a bit properly so that the others could see. And if you can find yourself seats, please make yourselves comfortable there.
थोड़ा सा हल्का सा मुझे स्क्रीन देखते रहना होगा.
Cardiac beings of meetings in silent space. We are about to start the event. Please maintain silence. Thank you.
I will request everyone to have an order in the house. Please be seated. We are going to start the program very soon.
जिंदगी एक कांटों का सफर है, हौसला इसी पहचान है। रास्तों पर तो सभी चलते हैं, जो रास्ते बनाए वही इंसान। Good afternoon everyone. मैं आपका हार्दिक अभिनंदन के साथ आप सबका स्वागत करती हूँ as we start an informative and an exciting speaker session on India's fight against COVID-19, जो कि कर्तव्य the Civil Services Society, Internal Quality Assurance Cell Wing of Kirori College के सहयोग में अमृत काल विमर्श के तत्वावधान में आयोजित किया जा रहा है।
Even the mere mention of this tiny, teensy virus COVID-19 brings back horrendous memories and tales of despair, hopelessness, and a dismal past, which not only shattered the world physically, but economically, emotionally, and psychologically as well. However, as every cloud has a silver lining, the dismal circumstances prepared the ground for the increased vigor, strength, and fortitude with which the world grappled to find stability. Governments, COVID-19 warriors, and altruistic individuals all came together as one in an effort to combat this deadly onset, thus fostering new ties of dependence, cooperation, and a zeal for survival. India, despite its massive population of 140.76 crores, was way better in handling the extremely dire circumstances that were created by COVID-19 than most of the developed countries. One of the contributors to this amazing feat is our today's esteemed chief guest, Dr. Balram Bhargav, who steered the country in the right direction while being at the helm of Indian Council of Medical Research during these trying times.
Light dispels the pessimist forces of darkness and symbolizes hope and a sense of positivity. On this positive note, I would like to request our esteemed guest, our principal conveners of Kartavya and IQAC, and the professors to kindly light the lamp.
हमारे प्रधानाचार्य प्रोफेसर दिनेश खट्टर से अनुरोध करूंगी कि वे हमारे आदरणीय मुख्य अतिथि डॉक्टर बलराम भार्गव को शॉल और मोमेंटो से सम्मानित करें। Thank you, sir. I will now request our convener, Dr. Leena Devi, to welcome Dr. Bhargav to the planter. Thank you, ma'am.
मैं किरोरी में कॉलेज के प्रिंसिपल प्रोफेसर दिनेश खट्टर से अनुरोध करूंगी कि वे कार्यक्रम के सम्मानित अतिथि डॉक्टर इकाच गुप्ता को शॉल और एक मेमेंटो से सम्मानित करें।
बच्चे बीच में से हटो, बच्चे बीच में से हटो।
Thank you, sir. I would request the convener of IQAC, SP Tripathi sir, to welcome our guest of honor with a planter. I would also request Dr. Ajit Kumar, member of IQAC, to kindly honor our principal Professor Dinesh Khattar with a planter.
I will now request our principal, Professor Dinesh Khattar, to kindly come on the dais for the welcome address.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Chief guest and keynote speaker for today's function, Padam Shri Dr. Balram Bhargav ji, Registrar, Delhi University, Honorable Dr. Iqac Gupta ji, esteemed faculty members, and my dear students. Today we have gathered to discuss and reflect upon India's remarkable journey in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. This battle tested our nation's strength, unity, and resilience like never before. India, like the rest of the world, faced the initial shock of the pandemic. The government imposed a strict nationwide lockdown in March 2020 to curb the spread of the virus. However, this came with its own set of challenges, including mass migration, economic disruptions, and supply chain issues. One of the most daunting tasks was to rapidly scale up healthcare infrastructure. India saw the construction of dedicated COVID-19 facilities, increased testing capacities, and the procurement of essential medical equipment such as ventilators and oxygen concentrators. India's vaccination campaign became a battle of hope. The country launched one of the world's largest vaccination drives, administering millions of doses daily. Innovations like the COVID app facilitated registration and tracking of vaccine recipients. India faced challenges such as vaccine supply shortages, vaccine hesitancy, and the emergence of new variants. The second wave of the virus in early 2021 strained healthcare resources and highlighted the importance of preparedness. India also played a crucial role in global efforts. It supplied vaccines to other nations, demonstrating solidarity in the fight against the pandemic. Community participation and awareness campaigns played a pivotal role in controlling the spread. COVID-appropriate behavior, wearing masks, and social distancing became a shared responsibility. The pandemic taught us valuable lessons about the importance of a robust healthcare system, preparedness for emergencies, and the significance of science and research. In conclusion, India's fight against COVID-19 has been a story of resilience, adaptability, and unity. Despite the challenges, our nation came together to combat this unprecedented crisis. As we look ahead, let us remember the lessons learned and continue to work towards a healthier, more resilient future for all. To speak on this, we have a very eminent guest present today who will enlighten us with his magical words and effective arguments. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for sparing your precious time for us from your busy schedule. We are equally grateful to Dr. Vikas Gupta, sir, for accepting our invitation and are with us today. I am grateful to Dr. Ajit, Dr. Leena, and the entire media team led by dynamic Dr. Lukram for organizing this talk on a short notice. With these words, I again welcome you all and express my love and gratitude to everyone present here. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. As we proceed with the event, let me introduce our guest of honor. Dr. Vikas Gupta, currently serving as the Registrar at the University of Delhi, boasts a distinguished career in academia and educational administration. With a foundation as a lecturer in electronics in ARSD College, University of Delhi, he has held pivotal roles such as founder senior director of the National Testing Agency, joint secretary at the University Grants Commission, and the director of the Distance Education Council. Dr. Gupta's extensive educational background includes a PhD in semiconductor materials in electronics, further complemented by his active involvement in various university committees and expert roles across the education sector. मैं आज के कार्यक्रम के हमारे सम्मानित अतिथि डॉक्टर विकास गुप्ता से अनुरोध करूंगी कि वे अपने ज्ञानपूर्ण शब्दों से विद्यार्थियों का मार्गदर्शन करें।
Thank you so much. Namaskar. The chief guest of today's function, Professor Balram Bhargavji, Principal, Professor Dinesh Chatterjee, Madam Leena, Dr. Kirori, distinguished faculty members, and my dear talented and gifted students of this college. A very good afternoon to all of you. This lecture has been organized by the college. I really congratulate them for taking this initiative. There was a time in 2020 where we suffered many setbacks. Health was one of the prime concerns. And there is no other best person than Professor Balram Bhargav to guide you about the steps the government of India has taken to prevent all of us from the big calamity of COVID-19 pandemic. The kind of medicines India developed, the kind of support we extended not only to our own country but across the world is really laudable. The efforts put in by the doctors, the efforts put in by even your teachers. See, if you go back to your time, remember you must be in either 9th or 10th class at that time when the COVID-19 pandemic started. But none of the teachers left you in lurch. They put in the extra efforts that you would not or you should not waste your academic year, or there should not be any kind of academic loss to you. And that is the strength of our country. That wherever there is a problem, we all are one, we all are standing together with each other to support each one of us. The kind of support everyone has extended in the time the COVID-19 pandemic was there is really, really appreciable. And we know that as the citizens of this country, we look forward. It is a vision that by 2047, the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, that we should be a Viksit Bharat, a developed country by 2047. We need your support in that also. Without your support, without your efforts, it is not possible. So, this opportunity is the right thing to know about the efforts put in by the government of India, during the 2 years or say 3 years of COVID-19 pandemic, saving life of everyone, giving strength to everyone. The kind of counseling sessions that were engaged were also really appreciable. So I congratulate Professor Dinesh Khattar for taking this initiative in organizing this program. And I'm really thankful to Professor Balram Bhargav, who is a pioneer in this field. You must be in class 9th or 10th. If you have seen television at that time, if you have heard about the news at that time, most of the time Professor Balram Bhargav was there in the news every time. He is the person who was key factor in developing those medicines which saved every one of us. So thank you so much, sir, for your Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. I will now request the convener of Kartavya, Dr. Neena Devi, to formally introduce our chief guest today.
Thank you, Shruti. A very pleasant good afternoon to one and all present here. It is my honor to introduce you to Dr. Balram Bhargav. To introduce to you our chief guest and today's keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Balram Bhargav, a global public health leader, mission-driven, result-oriented health professional with more than 35 years of experience in leading medical research, strengthening health systems, healthcare innovation, managing pandemic preparedness, and healthcare delivery in resource-poor sectors. As a global leader, he has been in the forefront of South-South cooperation, promoting equity in access to healthcare. Democratization of scientific research and promoting public-private cooperation to bring new technologies and affordable innovative products into the health system. He has led India's Department of Health Research as its secretary and director general of the Indian Council of Medical Research. He is also professor of cardiology at All India Institute of Medical Science, New Delhi, and serves as the Executive Director of Stanford India Biodesign Center, School of International Biodesign, an extensively published scientist with more than 300 articles in peer-reviewed journals and editor-in-chief of the British Medical Journal Innovation and of the Indian Journal of Medical Research. His experience ranges from treating more than 250,000 patients, training and mentoring super specialized cardiologists, to setting healthcare policies, standards, and advising several ministers of health and head of governments. He is honored with the India's Civilian Award for the contribution to medical science, Padma Shri in 2014. He has also received many other international and national awards for his contributions to health and development and has given more than 50 orations across the globe. He has international experience for more than 6 years in USA, Europe, and the Middle East. In recent years, he has been at the forefront of managing several public health crises in India, including COVID-19, and brought Indian research in shaping contemporary global practice through vaccine development and describing the role of plasma therapy. His research philosophy is more for less for more. A unique mandate for all his research team is global, affordable, need-driven healthcare and innovation, which stands GENDHI, Gandhi, which is based on the belief that when India tries to solve any problem, it is cheaper, better, faster, and in scalable manner. And that's what he and his team did when COVID-19 tested him. His mantra was so simple: dip into solid science, stay calm, and carry on. COVID-19 हम सबके लिए बहुत बहुत कठिन था, पर मेरा ये मानना है कि ये उनके लिए और भी कठिन था जिन्हें कोविड-19 जैसी सिचुएशन के लिए एक सॉल्यूशन लेकर आना था। सर ने और सर की टीम ने बखूबी ये काम निभाया, बखूबी ये जिम्मेदारी निभाई और कोवैक्सीन जैसा सॉल्यूशन हमें दिया। सर हम कितना भी आपका धन्यवाद करें, ये काम है फैमिली डोनेशन सर की और सर की टीम को जरूर दें। उधर आऊंगा।
ऐसा नहीं करना पड़ता है उसमें। सर इसको इकाच वो ये बच्चे सीख करवा
Kindly be patient, everyone. We're just arranging the people here, and very shortly we'll be resuming. Thank you.
अब ठीक है, बंद कर दिया, क्या हो गया? ओपन रहेगा तो नेचुरल वो आएगा, ज़्यादा अच्छा है। अंधेरा हो गया, उसको एक को खोल दो, एक को खोल दो। ये लो, मैंने कॉल कर लिया। इसका क्या लुकराम सर, लुकराम सर, बैग दे, कैमरे वाला बैग दे, नीचे सेटिंग करी मैंने ये करने से ना वो वापस एडिट कर ले, एक बार दिखा लेना मुझे।
Honorable Principal of this prestigious college, students, I just saw posted outside, student of BSc Science 1962, what a great institution you are, and I'm sure people from this room will also reach greatest heights in the future. So I will talk briefly about our vaccine development that we do for COVID-19 and how India was able to play an important role for supplying vaccines to more than 100 countries. It was, as we have been often calling it, the Chandrayaan moment of biology. So I will, we have some time, so I will show some slides or we just have this session. Okay. So I'll go fast with the slides just to guide you. So Indian Council of Medical Research is the oldest science body, one of the oldest science bodies in the world. It was established in 1911. Next, please. several innovations have been made, whether it be TB treatment, first oral polio vaccine, protein energy malnutrition, fortified salt, double fortified salt with iodine, and India's first test tube baby. These are all the major contributions that have been made by the Indian Council of Medical Research. Next. I think we can skip this next. The question is how I got into this and how big is the beast, what is the behavior, and what is the biology behind it. I am an interventional cardiologist. I normally do angioplasty, नाली साफ करने का काम है मेरा. But मैं I was secretary with the government of India on deputation for 5 years, and during that time the COVID pandemic happened. And that is how we had to work fast like an international cardiologist, not waste any time to develop the vaccine and to advise the government accordingly. So, next. So, now this is the yin and yang of COVID. Now, what happened was that the first case of COVID happened in the first week of December of 2019 in China, in Wuhan. They kept it as a closely guarded secret till about 31st of March, when there was some activity on the internet and they were able to find out through internet chatter and internet sensors that something is happening in China. And on 31st of December 2019, China declared that they have a new virus which is possibly causing pneumonia of unexplained. This is 31st of December 2019. 7th of January, the Ministry of Health held a meeting and we had discussions that what is this virus? We need to be prepared, we need to have screening, we need to start looking at what people are traveling into this country, who is having pneumonia, what is happening. Now, 26th of January, we had a medical student who was studying in Wuhan. He traveled from Wuhan to Hong Kong, and from Hong Kong to Calcutta, and from Calcutta to Bangalore, and from Bangalore to Kochi by flight, and then by bus to his hometown. He had fever and he was detected to be COVID positive. And that was the day we realized that the virus had entered our country. We had to backtrack all the contacts of this medical student, whoever he met during his trip from Calcutta right up to Bangalore to Kochi to his hometown. Anyone he met, he screened all those people and found out whether what is happening. Then what happened? Immediately, 31st of January, the government of India swung into action, and a group of secretaries was created to find out how India has to tackle with masks, personal protection equipment, testing equipment, vaccines, and how are we going to fight it, hospitals, infrastructure, etc. This is on the 31st of January, just 1 month within. Only one case had been detected in India and we swung into action. On top of this group of secretaries, there was a group of ministers who were meeting every week. This group of secretaries were meeting every day at the Cabinet Secretary's office in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and we were discussing how we are going to manage each of these problems. And then there was the group of ministers who were meeting every week or twice a week to decide on what is going to happen. So COVID-19 was wreaking havoc, disrupting healthcare systems. The biggest advantage that we had in India, that our pandemic in India was about 3 months late compared to UK, Italy, Spain, China, and other parts, Iran, and other places. So we got some insights into knowledge, and we could assimilate that knowledge to tackle this problem. Next. So our government was serious from the very beginning. We had a whole of government approach, a calibrated, proactive, preemptive, and creative response, which was science driven, and we have a strong leadership with excellent communication, who communicated with all the chief ministers, all the states, and kept them together, unlike many parts of the world. We did not believe in herd immunity. It's a infection ho jaye and then you will get immunity. From the beginning said no, no, no herd immunity business. We are going to isolate, isolate, isolate. And that worked well with us. Sweden, United Kingdom, Italy, many advanced countries believed in herd immunity and they lost a lot of lives. A lot of lives were lost. Next, please. So these are the top 10 innovations that happened during COVID-19 from the Indian Council of Medical Research. Countrywide scaling up of testing from one laboratory to more than 3,500 laboratories within months. Diagnostic kits manufactured in India, February 2020. It was exactly like we had very limited testing kits. We asked the WHO, they gave a handful of testing kits. We asked China, they said, place the order within hours, otherwise we supply it to some other country. So we had to innovate ourselves and try to manufacture our own kits. And many youngsters and students like yourselves had a startup and made India self-sufficient in testing kits by March, April, before that time. Nationwide sero survey was conducted. Again, indigenous vaccine development, animal studies, diagnostic kits, social delivery of vaccines by drones, first time in the world, was done anywhere in the world by vaccine. This advantage that we had was that my predecessors had established a laboratory of the BSL-4 grade in Pune. This is heavily guarded laboratory where all the viruses are there, whether it is poliovirus, whether it is all viruses are there except smallpox. Smallpox virus, since it got eradicated, they were all destroyed except one sample in the United States and one in Russia. This is 1970-71. The viruses are still kept there in these two countries. But other viruses are still with us, and we have a full electric fencing security for this BSL-4 laboratory. And this was established as the first BSL-4 laboratory in the Southeast Asia region in 2011. The second laboratory, BSL-4 laboratory, was the Wuhan lab, which was set up in 2017. So we were ahead of the curve as far as before China in terms of all the virus samples for testing from 2010-11 did not go to the US and they are all tested here in India. And that was the self-sufficiency that we established. This is also called the maximum containment laboratory. Next. So on 9th of March, actually it was the end of February, that we had 15 tourists from Italy who were visiting Agra and Rajasthan. And whilst they were in Agra, they were infected and they had fever. So they were immediately transferred to Delhi, and we got their samples, their swab samples, and we were able to culture the virus on the 9th of March. We isolated the virus. We asked many international agencies to give us the virus, because once you have the virus, you can make testing kits, you can make antibody kits, you can make monoclonal antibody, you can make vaccines from that virus. Okay. So we needed the virus, but no one gave us. But 9th of March, we isolated the virus in that maximum containment laboratory. Ourselves, we grew the virus. Now these were young female scientists working at the maximum containment laboratory in Pune, who were wearing that negative pressure kits and isolating the virus and playing with death and on their own. And they were working 24/7. 10th of March, we had several meetings of the group of ministers, and we had requested that all international travel be reduced, and we impose restrictions in the country so that country can distribute the curve and develop our own healthcare facilities. I met with the cabinet secretary at one of the group of secretaries meeting, he said, give me a recommendation on a piece of paper. I wrote two sentences on that paper. Stop all international travel. Number two, impose a nationwide restriction so that we are able to fight for a 1.4 crore, a 1.4 billion population so as to protect them. Because healthcare infrastructure, oxygen, vaccines, testing kit, PPE, masks, everything had to be reinvented, and the government, whole of government worked on a war footing. There was 10 empowered groups created by the leadership, and each of the groups were responsible for each of these products that I have named, whether it is PPE, everything to be manufactured in India and manufactured yesterday. So that is how we were working on a war footing. 18th of March, I was requested to make a presentation to the leadership, and I told him these 2 points. After 4-slide presentation, he said, will India go the same way as Italy or Spain? I said, definitely, but we still need to close our borders. We will buy time. We will be able to ramp up our infrastructure, and therefore we will be really. So 21st of March, a nationwide lockdown was imposed, and then by that time we had isolated the virus. On 9th of March, we had a private-public partnership with Bharat Biotech. We gave them the virus. We asked them to make the vaccine from the conventional method, not going to modern and non-modern and non-modern technique. Just kill the virus and make a vaccine out of it, like we had the classic vaccine of chickenpox and others, which we have always been using in the past. I said that is a technique which we know, so let us do that. Next. Sorry, come back, please. So we were the first country in the world to isolate the alpha virus, to culture the beta, delta, omicron, and they are all published in scientific literature. Next. So this is our testing, how it was scaled up. In February, we had only RT-PCR in one laboratory, but there was another molecular testing kit that was available for TB, which was called TrueNat. That was developed by some students of Indian Institute of Science in 2010. This was further tested by ICMR and DBT and funded, and we also got WHO qualification for that in 2018 for testing for tuberculosis. So we said that why don't we use the same, this is a portable kit, 3 kilos. And the government had purchased 8,000 such kits for TB detection in 2019. So 2020 we said by February, March, and in April, let us repurpose them for COVID. And immediately in a matter of a couple of weeks, those 8,000 machines were repurposed for COVID testing. And that was a game changer as far as we are concerned. So India was the first country to start molecular testing portable. The United Kingdom started another TrueNat kind of machine called DNA Nudge, and that was approved in September of 2020. By April, we had these machines, TrueNat as I mentioned. Then in June of 2020, when we had the first wave in Delhi, we said that we should use a rapid antigen kit. And the rapid antigen kit was used only in Korea, and we asked them for help. They helped us, and our startup started manufacturing those kits. And this rapid antigen kit was deployed in the first wave with a very high sensitivity and no specificity. That if it is a positive, it is definitely positive, and if it is negative, it is definitely negative. So that is how it worked, and it was deployed in the program, and you could shoot right to lines and then right to. Here I am a cardiologist. I went as secretary to the government of India. I was working with the bureaucracy for 5 years. I realized the strength, sitting at All India Institute, I did not realize the strength of our bureaucracy. It is like a single command. The Secretary Health and myself, the Secretary Department of Health Research, would issue a guideline and an order at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. marked to all principal secretaries, to all chief secretaries of all states and union territories by 12 p.m. and that night it was sent to all of those places, and early morning all the action was done. It was working like an armed force, and that is the strength of our bureaucracy, which I feel is something which people don't realize how it works as a command. Next. So we set up more than 3,900 million samples, and the cost of a rapid antigen test was $1 a test, and the RT-PCR test was $2 a test, which is in many parts of it's $2,000, $200, $400. So we were able to reduce the cost. Next. So this is we deployed the battery operated TrueNAT machine, and then we also said that every medical college, which are 600 in in this country, they should all have a BSL-2 or a BSL-3 laboratory, and that was also done on a war footing by a Gazette notification. We passed that order in June of 2019, and within a few weeks to months, they were all established. Next. Now, since we at ICMR diagnosed the first case, ICMR went into the thick of it in the middle of the whole pandemic, and we were asked to give advisories, we were asked to give scientific advice, how we were asked to develop testing kits, we were asked to develop a vaccine, etc. Now, during the lockdown, the Indian Council of Medical Research is a small headquarter building which is housed next to our India Institute of Medical Science. I don't know, some of you may have seen it or not seen it. And that headquarters has got 27 institutes across the country and more than 55 field stations. The footprint since 1911 is there across India of the same. So the headquarters was kind of converted as a war room for COVID-19. We were able to communicate with the Indian Air Force, with the Research Analysis Wing, with IB, with Indian Railways, with the Indian Air Force. They were all there, representatives were there at the headquarters. 40 of my sound scientists during the lockdown were staying at the guest house of ICMR, was stationed there for 3 months. They had left their family and they were working with us and working till late night here and going back just to sleep at the guest house. Our cafeteria was serving food for them during the day and dinner, and then they were so that was also working. And we got a lot of philanthropic support from all kinds of communities in the country to help out. And that was really touching that how one human being is able to help another human being, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, anything. And it was like a war, and they were all willing to this. So this was a fascinating part of this. So special flights were commissioned to deliver the testing kits. Next. Then we had the lockdown, which was not like the lockdown which was in the US, where everyone flouted it. Our citizens were the most well behaved. I think our citizens were much better than the Western world in terms of their response, in terms of their response to the government, in terms of their response to the fellow brethren, and in terms of their response to as responsible citizens. So that was, I think, amazing as far as we are concerned. And we did not have a lockdown where people don't, or we did not have a very strict kind of a lockdown that we have seen in China, which it was very strict that people were pushed into places. Next. So during the lockdown, our month was to keep the door closed, but we kept the window closed. So that knowledge would come in, we would assimilate it and come up with India's specific guidelines which are relevant for us. Then there is in February another small mission I wanted to tell you about. 6,000 Shia pilgrims of ours were visiting Iran, and at that time Iran was boiling with COVID-19. Italy, Spain, Iran, around February of 2020, and we were asked that how we can get them back. With the Indian Air Force, with the ITBP, and with the Indian Army, we were able to create quarantine centers in Indian Air Force Base, in Jodhpur, in many parts of the country. We created quarantine centers, again, under the guidance of the Cabinet Secretary and the group of ministers, group of secretaries. So that was created, and then for these people from Iran, we said, how do we get them back? They may be positive, because so we were asked that tomorrow set up a lab in Iran for testing. So passport, visa was issued in a matter of few hours. 6 of our scientists went with equipment to Iran. Now, Iran had shortage of testing. So if we set it up in Iran, in the public, they would have been asked to test Iranians first rather than the Indians. So it was set up in the basement of the Indian embassy in Tehran. And all the samples were collected and they were tested. All who were negative were immediately flown, 85% of them, and 15% was kept under observation, and then when they tested negative, they were also sent back. We didn't have any mortality in that. Next. Now, this is kind of complicated slide, I don't want to get into it, but I want to tell two things. Before the vaccine came, what was the medicine for COVID-19 and which country contributed to which medicine? During COVID-19, before the vaccine, I'm talking about January, February, March, April, May, June, July, till December. Vaccine started in December in the West and then 3rd of January next year in India. So there are only three major inventions that happened. One was a randomized trial conducted by United Kingdom, which showed that cortisone steroids are working, and that helped a lot of patients. The second was remdesivir, which the WHO and the US did a multi-centric, multi-country trial and demonstrated that remdesivir is working, reducing hospitalization. And the third, everyone, even the West, was using convalescent plasma, which was having a lot of social implications. Because anyone who is infected with COVID, you want his plasma, so you would like to infect him and get his plasma to treat yourself. Or those kind of social issues were there. We were able to demonstrate by a randomized trial, scientifically done, applauded by the West with two editorials in the British Medical Journal, that convalescent plasma is not enough. So these were the three major decisions that happened before the vaccine was working. Cortisone steroids, convalescent plasma not working, and medicine. USA, the WHO, United Kingdom, and India. Next. So once we got the virus, we set up our antibody kit for testing from the blood, whether you are COVID positive or not, whether you have ever been infected, to see what is the population listing. This was developed by a pharma company from Gujarat. And they used to travel every week, twice or thrice a week, from Ahmedabad to Pune and back by road to develop this kit. And this kit was then deployed in all the 27 institutes of ICMR, and they conducted the trial. Next. Across the country, they did this survey in 70 districts, 700 villages, 21 states, 10 villages involved from each district, and selected the population proportion to size, and showed that the seroprevalence was 0.7%. That means in May, June of 2020, 99.3% of our population was still vulnerable. So that was a huge figure which was frightening for us in May and June. Then we tried to develop the vaccine, which is a private-public partnership between ICMR and Bharat Biotech, which was based on trust, transparency, timeliness, and mutual respect. Every morning we had a telephone, a PC discussion at 9:45, 10 o'clock between the agencies, National Institute of Virology, Pune, headquarters, Bharat Biotech, and what has to be done next. Yes. So we did two things in vaccine development. One, that develop our own indigenous vaccine, and number two, scale up the production of international vaccine, which was Covishield, which we were able to get from AstraZeneca, which was manufactured by Serum Institute in Pune, one of the largest vaccine manufacturing facilities in the world, with a private helipad, private flyover in the factory itself. It is huge. I don't know how many hundred acres that place is. Absolutely wonderful. It is a jewel or a Kohinoor in India's. Makes it proud if you ever visit that place. And then we developed our own vaccine, which was Covaxin, and how we developed that vaccine. I will take 5 minutes to give us one. Now, the vaccine was, we gave the virus on 9th of March to Bharat Biotech. We signed an MOU with them. We isolated the virus on 9th. We signed an MOU with them on the end of March, and then they gave us a suitable candidate vaccine, which they had not even tested, that this might work. They gave it to us in different doses and different formulations. And 31st of April of 2020. And we started our rat studies, our mice studies, our hamster studies, and we were looking at the efficacy. Rats, mice, it worked fine. Then we had to test large animals. Now, testing of large animals has been stopped in this country uh, because they have to be tested on monkeys. And how do we get the monkeys? And how do we get the permissions? Within a matter of 2 or 3 days, we got permission from the government to do the testing on monkeys, and we were given permission to capture 24 monkeys. During the lockdown, all the monkeys had left the cities because there was no food available. So we had to go to the jungles to capture those monkeys as a team. And that is also shown in the movie how it was done. So, and then those monkeys were captured. We got them to the BSN-4 laboratory, kept them in air-conditioned cages, did all their blood tests, purchased an X-ray machine overnight, and tested them whether they have got tuberculosis or not. All that was clear, and then we gave them the vaccine. Now, after vaccine, we had to give them the virus and see whether the vaccine is working. The virus has to be given intra-bronchially, third generation of the bronchus, through bronchoscopy in anesthetized monkeys. Now, we did not have anyone available at Pune to do that. So the chief of CTC Pune, which is the RB Thoracic Center, they posted one respiratory physician, again locked in the LCMR and IV guest house for 1 month to do this monkey study. One person was flown from the headquarters, he was a pulmonologist, never done it on monkeys, had done it on humans. He was sent to Pune. They were there for 6 weeks to do the monkey trials. Monkeys were anesthetized. Next. And these monkeys were anesthetized, and then the virus was given by bronchoscopy into their lungs. And every day they were anesthetized again, and bronchoalveolar lavage, cleaning from that to see whether the virus has gone, was taken out from the lungs for 7 days to 14 days. And then we found that the virus is not going in the anesthetized, in the vaccinated vaccine. So we said this vaccine is working, and that was the most fascinating. And this happened, we completed the monkey study end of June 2020. Before that, the leadership had convened a meeting in May that we need to develop a vaccine. We had already done that, we did not speak anything. Once the meeting was on, several vaccine candidates were presented by various scientific agencies. This we are working with University of Wisconsin, this we are working with University of Minnesota, this we are working with this is our, we will develop this, we will develop this vaccine. I raised my hand, sir, we are trying to develop a Desi vaccine by the old technique, and hopefully we will try one. I was given a green flag, go ahead. And after that, there was no stopping. And then we did the we did the phase 1 small animal study. This came out as the cover story on iScience, how we developed the vaccine. And then the preclinical studies on the monkeys, which was safety, immunity, and dosage. This was published in Nature. Now, another small interesting story, India working against India. We sent the article for publication to the journal. By that time, it was known in the press that we had captured monkeys. We were told by several of these NGOs that Dr. Bhargav, are you going to capture the monkey? I said, no, I'm not going to capture. I had already captured. I said, no, so I had already captured them. I said, no, I'm not going to capture. I had already captured them. Studies had already started. आगे तो नहीं करने जाना, हाँ नहीं करने जाना, तो वो भी हुआ. But once it came out in the press that these monkeys, so and the paper had been sent to the journal, some of these NGOs wrote to the journal that these are monkeys not from a breeding facility. This paper should not be published. They are from the wild. So the journal asked for all the health certificates of each and every monkey. their blood tests, their X-rays, and everything. That was sent to them. After that, this got published in Nature Communications. Then we started the phase 1 human trial, the phase 2, and then we got the CE mark, the major preparation, and all that. Next. Next. So then we did looked at these vaccines working on alpha, beta, gamma, delta, all first time. Next. So this was the journey of the vaccine. 2020, as I said, in March we isolated the virus, and then by December we had completed phase 1 and phase 2 only. We had not completed phase 3. Now, as per the clinical trial, new clinical trial rules of 2019 Gazette notification, it said that if there is a national emergency, then we can deploy them in the public health system based on phase 2 data only. So we invoked that Gazette notification. Lot of resistance, lot of press against us that why are you doing on phase 2, the humans are not getting phase, all kinds of things. But then we wanted to deploy it on the basis of phase 2. We completed the phase 3. January we started the vaccination after phase 2. By March, April we completed phase 3. Okay. So we know that we are the pharmacy of the world, that is well established. By 60% of the generic drugs across the world are supplied from India. We, by Indian vaccine, we clearly established that we are now a vaccine. Next. Now this is an interesting slide, and it is quite interesting because we are having that country in the news. This is the health minister of India, Amrit, receiving a box from the High Commissioner of Canada in 1947. And what is this box? This box contained penicillin. After the Second World War, penicillin was invented, and they gave us just a box full of penicillin in 1947. And then India established Star Antibiotics Limited and all, was exporting, and now we are the biggest one of the biggest exporters. 2021, we exported Indian vaccines to Canada. So right from funding to preclinical studies, to clinical studies, to laboratory studies, to epidemiology studies, to rolling review, to advanced purchase orders, to at-risk manufacturing, to raw material import, to expedited batch testing was all done in a timely manner with the government and private partnership, and we got very well. So this is the Gazette notification, 19 March 2019, much before COVID, that if it is a life-threatening serious disease or drugs intended to use a disease of special relevance, unmet clinical need, so we invoke that to use the vaccine after phase 2. Next. 18th of March again, 2019, we convened a national task force in ICMR, and this we informed the Supreme Court that this is the national task force we are creating. We will be taking all decisions by this task force, which have physiologists, pharmacologists, pulmonologists, pulmonary specialists, medicine specialists, epidemiologists, virologists, and all specialties, public health, civil society. So we got a lot of people from there trying to operate on all these things, whether it be lockdown, whether it be what testing has to be done, what research has to be done, which drugs have to be deployed, what is the advisory. All that was done by this national task force. This was informed to the Supreme Court on each and every member's name, and on 18th, and this has had more than 250 meetings during the court. These are the advisories used by this task force for my special. More than 350 papers were published in several journals across the world during this COVID pandemic by ICMR. Next. So, masks in the first Spanish flu. This is a cartoon from the first Spanish flu. And then, and also this is from the first Spanish flu in 2019. We had clearly told the press that the masks are things that are definitely working, and last will be last. They will be the last. This is clearly stated. Next. So we know next vaccination. Next, we know vaccination has we have all the data of every tested patient with ICMR. We have all the vaccination data on the COVID app, and we know that in the Omicron wave, 92% of the deaths that occurred were the people who were unvaccinated. 92% of the deaths in the third wave were all people who were unvaccinated. So vaccine has prevented. Next, but how many million doses? I think in Corona chart wrote 300 crores doses have been given in India. So we had a very good universal immunization program from the 1960s, which had 28,000 cold chain points, 23,50,000 and 28,000 private vaccination centers. So the public vaccination centers were 15 times more than the private vaccination centers. And next, we saw that during the Omicron wave, many countries were far ahead in terms of because they were unvaccinated, there was vaccine hesitancy, there was vaccine stigma, although what we didn't have. And look at where India is standing in terms of number of cases, next, in terms of number of deaths, also was much less. Next. So as the vaccination started, the case fatality rate started falling. Next. We also had to BSL-4 laboratory, but during the Nipah outbreak in 2018, we tried to develop a mobile BSL-3 laboratory. But this was developed on a Mercedes-Benz chassis from Chennai, and the person who manufactured the BSL-4 laboratory in 2010, he manufactured this van for us, which can go into the field, and we were able, it has negative pressure, it can dispose of the samples. When you go inside, you feel you're inside the cockpit of an aeroplane. And this BioCleanse, whatever, was launched in Nasik in 2022, and we are trying to develop it more to be able to give it to more countries. And we demonstrated this. It drove from Gorakhpur, where we had the encephalitis and all that. One is parked there, one is parked in Pune, and it drove from there to to Bhutan, to Paro. It went by road. Within a matter of 1.5 days, it reached Bhutan, and then we demonstrated to all the health ministers of different countries of Southeast Asia that this is a laboratory which is a useful thing, and now India has the capability to manufacture this, and it's going to be supplying to the market. This is the iDrone. We can go next. Next. So we did the drone delivery of vaccines from now. If you know, we had to test those. So how to test them? I do not know how many of you know that IIT Kanpur has got an airstrip. They also gave private pilot license. They have an airstrip which was donated by the US in 1960s. So in that airstrip, we said we'll fly the drones and test the temperatures and all. They allowed us to do that, and the drones were tested there in the airstrip in Kanpur. And then we deployed them in Nagaland, in Manipur, from hill to valley, hill to hill, hill to land, land to sea. Next. This is one of the picture of drone. One of the most beautiful parts of Manipur, there is a lake, the largest freshwater lake in Asia, called the Lokmat Lake. Lokmat. And in the middle of that lake, there is a small island. And in that small island, there is a primary health center. And the population is about 3,000. So, one flight from Vishnupur to the edge of the lake takes about 8 hours to drive. And then from there, it takes about 2 or 3 hours by boat, and then 1 or 2 hours by walk. From Vishnupur, we flew straight to Lokmat Lake, Primary Health Center. 15 minutes. And after that, they are now utilizing it for deliveries. Iron tablets for women, developing, sending paracetamol tablets, and all these small supplies are being utilized by those all over the world. And they have self-released.
It's the same island that you were talking about.
Yes. First time in the world vaccine for the world. Next. So this is a small cartoon that one of our scientists made. And the virus has gone and settled in a small district, remote area because vaccination is there. And suddenly the virus finds that the drone is coming. Next. Next is vaccine. Next. We lost 26 of our colleagues during this uncompromised, our scientists, technical officers, and we pay homage to them. Last slide. Thank you for your attention, because attention is the rarest form of generosity.
Thank you so much, sir, for an insightful speech. The way you have explained the journey, the challenging yet an incredible journey of India's fight against COVID-19 is something that we don't have much of word to explain. Thank you so much, sir. Can we have a huge round of applause for Thank you so much. With due permission of our esteemed chief guest, I would like to invite questions from our audience.
Any question?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Send your name and proof of.
my name is Khushi and I'm from second year BSc Analytical Chemistry. My question is, what would your advice be for someone who is aiming to become a medical researcher?
The most important thing is keep calm and carry on.
Any questions, sir?
Further, fortunately, this study is immense now. But just when we come without stimulants, good ecosystem in the infrastructure is there. Yes, you have to bang your wall, head against the walls of the good things here.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Kaatya from Political Science Office. Sir, my question is that during pandemic era, we not only face the physical health issues but also face mental health issues. Sir, do mental health is really a big problem, or we are just making fake scenarios about it? And people are not that much aware and have lack of information, so they didn't realize that they are facing some problems. So, sir, how mental health issue can affect the physical health also, and how can we prevent from it?
Absolutely right. Mental health, people were locked up in their homes, people were locked up in so that has definitely so we have to, I think, realize that all these mental health do contribute to the health. Important thing is communication, communication. If we communicate with our colleagues, our peers, our teachers, and this is, and it is not a stigma, talk about the problem, it will be addressed. We have such a beautiful team campus. I don't think we can have
Any more questions? Sir, my name is Abhishek and I am pursuing BSc Maths Honours, third year. So my question is, since you also mentioned that our vaccine was appreciated globally, sir, so the question is that there are constant debate on the topic that there are increased number of heart attacks among youth after they got vaccinated. So, sir, what's your take on this?
Yes, those people, not after vaccination, but those people who got severe COVID disease, they are more vulnerable. Nothing to do with it.
Also, sir,
Good point.
Sir, if there is something truth about the statement, sir, what would be possible remedies you would suggest to the youth who are suffering these problems? सर लाइक there is a debate ना कि मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा हार्ट अटैक्स हो रहे हैं यूथ में तो what would be possible remedies you can suggest?
देखिए हार्ट अटैक के लिए हार्ट अटैक इंडिया में जल्दी होते हैं यंगर एज में होते हैं 10 साल तक 50 में होते हैं एवरेज जो वेस्ट के हिसाब से most important thing is that you need to know at the age of 25 you need to know your numbers you need to know your blood pressure you need to know your height you need to know your weight you need to know your waist circumference you need to know your blood cholesterol you need to know your blood sugar and you need to stay away from alcohol. If this much is taken care of you will be able to prevent it.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, there, at the back.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Vivek. Sir, I had a question like there was a serious issue of about the lack of oxygen cylinder during the pandemic. So, was it not predicted well before about that oxygen cylinder? So, I just wanted to know in detail.
The oxygen shortage and the supply was predicted before, yes, but as the virus mutated, when we got that Delta strain, we did not know, we could not predict that it will require more oxygen and these patients will require more oxygen. Having said that, there was a poor government approach and vaccine and the oxygen plants, whether it be local manufacturing plants or large vaccine plants and oxygen manufacturing plants or diversion of vaccine from steam plants and other plants to give oxygen was done on a broad footing and the meeting was held every day and we were able to demonstrate that we were able to do that. Several countries also helped us and that was it and few countries also itself but that was an important. But now the infrastructure is there. Not any other pandemic and oxygen plants are available at all large.
So, sir, I have one more question for you. So, sir, the lack of oxygen or so-called deoxygen, requirement of oxygen, was it related to the vaccine or the COVID?
It was related to the Delta variant of the COVID.
Sir, I want to ask one question. I think during the sir, my name is Dr. Dukram. I am presently teaching as an assistant professor in Department of Zoology in this college. So I want to know. I heard that the person who is dead after COVID, they were not allowed to do the post-mortem. Why it was that? And one more thing, that is there any relation with the heparin? Heparin was used in large scale. Even I myself sent heparin to Manipur. I think that was going to Burma also. So I want to know that what is the relation?
I don't think the postmortem was an issue because the virus does not go deceased, it does not go in. So that was not an issue. Regarding the heparin was found to be effective. I can speak like that. Heparin was found to be effective and because COVID was promoting clotting. So it was found to be somewhat effective. It was being used in patients who were prolonged bed rest, prolonged hospitalization.
Do we have any more questions from the audience?
कि ये पैंडेमिक वगैरह को हम नॉर्मली कहते हैं, ये कोरोना वगैरह, सर इसको हम नेचुरल सिलेक्शन वगैरह नहीं कह सकते, क्योंकि नेचर वगैरह जैसे नेचर वगैरह को जब हम नहीं समझते, पॉपुलेशन वगैरह ही बहुत सारी बढ़ जाती है, तो नेचर वगैरह खुद मतलब सेलेक्ट करने के लिए जैसे हम सब जो बैठे हैं यहाँ पे सारे सिलेक्टेड कैंडिडेट्स हैं नेचर द्वारा, और हमारा पोटेंशियल वगैरह काफ़ी बिल्डअप होता है, ये सब चीज़ों से जैसे हमारे लिए वैक्सीन बनाना की बिग अचीवमेंट वगैरह है, तो इस सब के बारे में मतलब
आप बिल्कुल करें जैसे वायरस कैसे आया, कैसे नेचुरली सिलेक्ट हुआ और कैसे इसने इन्फेक्ट किया, ये थ्योरीज हैं कि वेट लैब्स वेट मार्केट से आया, कुछ थ्योरीज हैं कि लैब में जो हुआ है और उसकी वजह से निकला, क्या कुछ कंट्री ऐसे वायरस बना सकते थे और उसको आउटलेट के लिए, ये सब थ्योरीज हैं, इस पर डिस्कशन चल रहा है, कई इन्वेस्टिगेटिव एजेंसी इन्वेस्टिगेट भी कर रही है और नेचुरल सिलेक्शन भी।
Any more questions from the audience?
I have a question that in some vaccine there was just one dose included, and like in some we need to have one second dose, and then now we are told to take booster dose. So why how much booster dose would we be requiring? Do we need again and again? And why two doses? What was the reason?
Initially, this these vaccines put together require two doses, like one dose is required 3 doses, 50 is required 3 doses. That depends on the ability of the virus to boost up the antibody response or the immune response of the human body. So that is why 2 doses were required. Coming to the question whether booster dose will be required or not, there are certain countries which are giving 5, 6, 7 booster doses, but from our country we have just currently said that only one booster dose is required, and it will depend on what is the prevailing circumstances of the virus in the environment. कितना वायरस है इस एरिया में, कितना प्रेवलेंस है, अगर ज़्यादा है तो हो सकता है booster.
So one is booster is necessary.
So once I'm Dr. Shashwat of the Chemistry Department in the same institute. Sir, as we have heard a lot during the pandemic time, after the vaccine was developed, that in media especially, that it could cause possible long-term mutations, possible mutagenic effects. Have you till date seen any of the case or maybe the long-term toxicities in the future next 50 years or
There
something?
are vaccines which have been used for the last 200 years,
Yeah, exactly.
and we have not seen that kind of situation which initially the vaccine was first kind of deformity.
Exactly. Like during the media, channel, they were showing a lot of X-Men type of movies related to these things.
Before the vaccine, the concept was experimented.
Thank you, sir.
We have one more question there.
So it can be seen that it has become like a tradition that India has been attacked by the Nipah virus over the period of time in the past few decades. So are there any movement that are made in the direction of taking the vaccine for the Nipah virus, and what are the causes that are responsible for the widespread in this new disease of the Kerala, and also the development regarding the vaccines for the rabies virus, because it's still unavailable at early stage.
Nipah virus is one of the 10 viruses which are on the WHO listed as one of the most deadly viruses. And Nipah outbreak has occurred whenever there are bats. When there are special bats which have been shown to grow that virus. We have the first outbreak in 2004-5 particularly in Assam, and then we had it in 2018 in Kerala, and 2019 in Guwahati. For Nipah, the only treatment available at the moment is monoclonal antibody. That is raise antibodies and immediate antibodies as a treatment for this Vaccine for Nipah is probably not the correct answer because even if you're able to make a vaccine for Nipah, who will you vaccinate? Will you vaccinate the whole of India? Will you vaccinate every Kerala? Will you vaccinate a normal person? Will you vaccinate an elderly person? So we do not know who is being vaccinated. First, we need to know what is the target audience to which has to be vaccinated. So Nipah probably vaccination will not be enough. I'm not going to take a current answer, but to break the chain from the vaccine. For rabies, I think the most important thing is that we need to have drug-free zones in many developed cities. And I think that is the most important thing. So our lives are going to take and we see our lives Africa. I know there may be several thousand out there, there may be 50,000 out there, but kindly think about it. Much of the developed world, you don't find free roaming dogs. Free roaming dogs
You have one question at the back, I think.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sachin Mishra. I am from BA program first year. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो रेमडेसिविर आपने सर नाम लिया, रेमडेसिविर जो हार्ट पेशेंट थे सर उनके लिए वैक्सीन नहीं थी. इसके हार्ट जो हार्ट पेशेंट थे तो उनकी सर आफ्टर 1 या 2 डोज चाहिए उन्हें 5 डोज थी. तो आफ्टर 1 या 2 डोज से उनकी डेथ हो जाती थी. तो कोविड एपिडेमिक में सर मेरे बड़े पापा हैं तो उनकी भी डेथ रेमडेसिविर की वजह से हुई. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि उसका रीजन क्या है कि वैक्सीन नहीं थी.
Obviously, COVID virus के against effective 100% और हम लोग का जो mindset है as society today, we feel that it is human body is like switch off and switch on. There is something known as a stochastic science. Human biology is a stochastic science. It is not a deterministic science. कोई respond कर सकता है, कोई ना भी respond कर सकता है. So remdesivir वैसे भी it only reduces the hospitalization case. It did not reduce total mortality. Hospitalization का एक खतरा नहीं होता. जो 12 दिन रहते तो 8 दिन में 7 दिन में. So it was more symptomatic than the remdesivir. But remdesivir was not harmful. It was in case which were trying to tell me the mortality that has occurred is because of the serious COVID.
Any more questions that you may have for the audience? Alright, then we'll just wrap up now. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. And I'm sure all of us have learned a lot from this session today. And now I would like to call upon the member of IQAC, Dr. Ajit Kumar, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you would be so minuscule, so tiny a word to express our gratitude to our most esteemed, beloved, and enlightened professor, efficient doctor, and the scientist innovator, Professor Ram Bhargav, for such an eye-opening and enriching talk. Sir, we all have been listening to you very carefully. You began your talk as how we started our preparations. So the preparation moment was like Chandrayaan moment for biology, like you said. You said that preparation was really another because India, as a largest democracy, recalibrated its intervention, which was a much needed intervention. So you rightly pointed out that the mission Lifeline Uran, which was a 24 into 7 mission, which was lost to carry to provide consumables and other items which were very much needed, apart from the preparation for the vaccine which was going on. Sir, thank you for calling our citizen as a well-behaved citizen as compared to the other citizens of the other part of the world, because our citizens has followed the historical tradition of Buddha's living path. Sir, You rightly said that we were taking precautions because we are keeping our doors closed, but we are not keeping our windows closed. We have kept our windows open for the ideas from whichever corner, which is, I mean, that's a different thing that we excel parts in the creation of, in the making of the vaccine. So you rightly said that uh, India not only remained instrumental in the creation of containment lab for India itself, it went beyond India. It established different parts of the world, including Iran, where you found the basement of Iranian embassy, where there was a lab which was found, which is very new to us. You said so many interesting things to us, which were hitherto unknown to us. You the most interesting part was the history of the development of vaccine. When you said that it was the 20 monkeys who were the unsung heroes. You said that the monkey business was successfully accomplished and there was a hope on the horizon. Sir, uh, one thing, and the second last thing that I would like to point out, because you have said so many things, you talked about the role of drone services for the purpose of the supply of vaccine to the different parts of the world, particularly the use of Kanpur airstrip and the supply of vaccine to the areas, remote areas of Manipur and Nagaland, sir. And one thing that really moved all of us, sir, your reference about the episode that took place in 1947 when our health minister Rajkumar Amrit Kaur is receiving a handful of penicillium from the medicine is called, it was for malaria, right? And it was in 1927 and 2021 we gave the same country the savior of mankind, the savior drug for mankind, savior vaccine for mankind, that is 2021. We are proud of you, sir, and we are proud for ourselves being the citizen of this country, sir. Thank you very much for such an amazing talk, sir. हम समस्त भारत और विश्व के लोग आपके इस प्रयास के आभारी हैं और जैसा कि हमने न्यूज एजेंसी में पढ़ा भी था और आज हमने उसकी क्लिपिंग्स देख ली कि कैसे हमारे मशहूर अभिनेता नाना पाटेकर आपकी भूमिका में हैं और इस मूवी को बनाए हुए हैं आपके समस्त प्रयास को लेकर as I'm rightly said, global public health leader है सर आप एक institution builder हैं और सर हमेशा ऐसे हम सबके लिए बने रहिएगा. Thank you so much. I would like to express our gratitude to Professor Vikas Gupta sir, also the Registrar of the University, for his immense interest in successfully catering to the academic and administrative requirements of the university in general and Kirori College in particular. We'd also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Visudi, Director Navachadi, for giving us the opportunity to organize such an enriching and informative talk session with Professor Balram Bhargava. We'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our beloved all-time available principal, sir, Professor support for making the program a huge success. On the occasion, we would like to thank our one and only media committee, headed by Dr. Vikram, for electronic communication. I would like to thank our convener, Kartavya, for working day in and day out for making this program a huge success. And last but not the least, this program would never have been a success without the meticulous effort of our office bearers of Kartavya, the volunteers of Kartavya. So thank you very much for making this program. And the program is yet not over. We are going to get together at the library lawn for a tea, along with the formal, informal discussion with answer. It will be a 5 minutes. Sorry. And then we all will have to be here for group photograph.